I had met Kathy Kennedy, Stephen's producer, and in a conversation about projects that she and Stephen were working on, she had mentioned that they were working on a story about the murder of the Israeli athletes at the Munich Olympic Games. And I made assumptions while I was listening to her talk about what kind of a story they'd want to tell, and I was really surprised when she talked about this particular squad of Mossad assassins and what had happened to the main guy, and that he wound up leaving Israel. It seemed, I mean, really not at all what I'd expected. So I came into the project. In fact, it was right after the anthology that I edited with Lisa Solomon, Wrestling with Zion, was published. So I sent the book to Stephen and Kathy, thinking, that maybe it would just be useful in terms, before they hired me, just saying, here's what I've just done, and maybe this will be useful in terms of thinking about the Middle East. And I was very surprised when Stephen, who I'd never met, emailed me and said, I really liked the book, and I'd really like to talk to you about this project. And eventually I became the screenwriter for it. And I found Stephen and Kathy and the people that worked on Munich full of many of the same questions and qualms and concerns about the Middle East, about the policy of targeted assassination, about what happens to due process and law when confronted with terrorism, whether or not nations still have to behave in a lawful fashion, and we felt that this was a way of examining that, and also a way of beginning at least a conversation about the Middle East. Stephen was, I think, heroic in not backing down. I mean, it's a very tough, very depressing movie. And I feel enormously proud of it. There was a lot of sort of, I thought, very glib dismissal from the left in the United States and in Israel of Munich, but nothing compared to the absolute savagery from the right, which went on for years. I feel that had the film come out a couple of years later, the response would have been very, very different. I mean, after the Lebanon War, I think the response would have been very different.